Pure hysteria. A teenage girl completely loses her mind at a Beatles concert in Seattle, 1964. A bizarre 1950s ad selling a literal gun designed to shoot liquid and kill houseflies. Long before the presidency, a young John F. Kennedy jokes around with his best friend in 1933. A haunting plaster cast mask created for a patient at Walter Reed Hospital back in 1937. The rebellious face of a so-called hooligan standing his ground in East Berlin, 1987. A historic celebration as Hawaii is finally admitted as an American state in 1959. Finding a quiet moment in hell. An American soldier reads a magazine during the Vietnam War in '67. A very unusual way to enjoy a Coca-Cola, captured in Japan during 1966. A young Arnold Schwarzenegger flexing his massive physique in 1969. Michael Jackson taking a break with cast members on the sci-fi set of Captain EO, 1986. Police struggle to hold back a screaming mob of teenage girls before an Elvis Presley show in '56. Law enforcement forcefully detains a man for refusing to wear a mask during the 1918 flu pandemic. One of the earliest known photographs of a working girl at an American motel, dating back to 1880. The real-life Christopher Robin, the inspiration for Winnie the Pooh, with his fiancée in 1948. General Eisenhower giving a heavy, final address to American paratroopers right before the D-Day invasion. An incredibly rare portrait of a teenage Madonna in 1977, completely unaware of her future fame. A stunningly colorized look at a professional photographer capturing the Jersey Shore in 1912. Just a toddler on the beach in 1929. This little girl would grow up to be Marilyn Monroe. A very young Ryan Reynolds proudly holding up his fresh catch back in 1983. The founder of the Playboy empire, Hugh Hefner, walking the streets of Chicago in 1966. A harsh haircut in 1920s, Britain, using nothing but a pair of heavy garden shears. A bizarre 1950s contraption designed to let you safely smoke in bed without burning the house down. An elegant horse-drawn delivery carriage for the Marshall Fields department store in Chicago, 1897. 3 absolute legends in one frame: Bono, Paul McCartney, and Freddie Mercury in 1985. The ultimate 1980s aesthetic: massive permed hair and a totally different standard of style. A chilling protest from the 1970s, highlighting severe air pollution by going on a date in gas masks. A true hero. James Welch lost both arms saving his dog from a train, photographed here in '64. Take a close look at this eerie photo from 1900. Do you see the strange figure in the background? A 23-year-old Pamela Anderson during her very first photo shoot for Playboy magazine in 1990. Hyperinflation hit Germany so hard in 1923 that women literally sewed dresses out of worthless banknotes. A survivor of the Manila Massacre reveals the horrific scars left by Japanese officer's blade in 1945. Groundkeeping history. The very first lawnmower being used at the Missouri Botanical Garden in 1916. Meet Queenie, famously known in the 1950s as the only water-skiing elephant in the entire world. Looking like a sci-fi villain, a World War I German pilot straps on an electrically heated face mask. A controversial 1976 magazine cover mocking the rumors that the Soviet Union used male athletes in women's sports. The breathtaking Italian actress Ornella Muti, captured during the 1970s. Completely buried in his wares, a street vendor sells woven baskets on the streets of London, 1925. Hard to believe, but in the 50s, hospitals literally sold cigarettes to patients, believing it cured stress. The luxurious indoor slide and pedal car of the Russian Emperor's son, photographed in 1911. A shockingly deceitful 1971 advertisement that actively promoted sugar as a healthy diet choice. Bizarre 1950s fashion. Women modeling strange beachwear inspired by ancient Egyptian designs. In 1939, flour mills began printing pretty patterns on sacks so impoverished mothers could sew dresses for their children. Donald Trump photographed alongside alleged mobster Robert Libutti in 1994. Civil rights activists practicing extreme self-control while having food dumped on them in 1963. A rare and bold statement from the year 1900. Two men holding a sign proclaiming their desire to legally marry. A rather unhappy-looking dental patient showing off their treatment in the 1920s. A genuinely hilarious absence note from 1967, stating a very personal reason for missing work. Forget horses. This boy from the 1930s proudly stands next to his massive riding boar. The dazzling and extravagant outfit of a burlesque dancer getting ready in 1963. Proof that things haven't changed much. A group of teachers partying hard on spring break in 1910. A stunning portrait of an 18-year-old Jodie Foster taken in 1981. The mugshot of Catherine Buck, arrested in 1905 for the simple crime of stealing bedsheets. The absolute perfection of Hollywood legend Elizabeth Taylor, captured in 1952. An incredibly strange and highly questionable musical performance happening back in 1905. A brilliant 1950s design from New Zealand, featuring built-in hooks for baby strollers on the front of a bus. The pure vintage glamour of actress Mara Corday posing in the 1950s. Thirsty travelers at London's King's Cross Station getting milk straight from the cow in the 1920s. It looks like a cheap Lego tower, but this was actually Google's very first server back in 1996. The rough, dirty reality of garbage collectors hauling waste through the streets of Paris in 1950. A grim scene from the Belgian Congo in '79. A young girl under arrest, sitting with an arrow pierced through her leg. A gentleman playfully helping a woman onto a bicycle during a sunny day in 1973. An absolute monster of a gold nugget found in 1872, weighing over 200 kilograms. The chilling, mummified remains lining the walls of the Capuchin catacombs in Italy, photographed in 1950. Actress Helen Slater glowing in her iconic Supergirl costume back in 1984. Take a look inside a classic, fully stocked American grocery store from the late 19th century. The stunning Brigitte Bardot relaxing between takes on a film set in 1954. Prohibition desperation. A man tries to catch illegal moonshine as federal agents dump it out of a window in 25. A heartwarming moment from 81. Visually impaired children gently feeling a cat for the very first time. Looking more like a torture chamber, this was actually an 1880s medical treatment for severe scoliosis. The bizarre and highly controversial butcher cover from the Beatles' 1966 album. The brutal cost of conflict. A banquet for French veterans whose faces were destroyed in World War I. 2 absolute titans. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Lou Ferrigno battling it out at an early 70s bodybuilding competition. A classic slice of mid-century life captured on the bustling streets of New York in 1954. One of the final, hauntingly beautiful portraits of Marilyn Monroe, taken just before her death in 1962. Wild history. North Korean dictators used completely fake Brazilian passports in the 90s just to secretly visit Disneyland. A heartbreaking before and after showing the devastating transformation of Afghanistan between 1973 and modern times. A stylish young couple posing next to a vintage speed limit sign out in 1920s Oklahoma. Standing over 7 feet tall, Jacob Nacken was the tallest soldier in the Nazi army, captured here in 1944. 1918. A San Francisco police officer aggressively confronts a man refusing to wear his influenza mask. A young Donald Trump enjoying the wild nightlife at the infamous Studio 54 in 1977. Betty Brosmer, the famous 1950s pinup model known worldwide for her literally impossible waistline. The moment of justice, a liberated camp prisoner angrily points out his most brutal tormentor in 1945. A rare and very early medical portrait of a man living with Down syndrome in the 1890s. A man arrested simply for wearing women's clothing, stepping out of a police van in 1939. Glowing like neon signs, these illuminated Goodyear tires from 1961 were a futuristic dream that never caught on. A perfectly timed shot from 1955 of a tiny kitten looking like it's smiling right at the camera. Long before Hollywood, this is Norma Jean at her very first wedding in 42. She was only 16 years old. The incredibly deeply lined face of John Smith. It's alleged this Native American man lived to be 137. The Canadian Prime Minister casually carrying his son like a briefcase in 73. That boy grew up to lead the country. When politics were a little more playful, Republicans and Democrats having a massive snowball fight at the Capitol in 1921. Marilyn Monroe taking a glamorous cigarette break on the set of a musical in 1954. The peak of 50s convenience. An LA drive-in where your food was delivered right to your car window via a conveyor belt. Looking completely absurd, this heavy headset was an experimental military radio transmitter tested in 1938. Arnold Schwarzenegger showing his massive strength while supporting disabled athletes at an event in 1983. A charming moment during wartime. Parisian children formed their own neighborhood army in 1915, armed with wooden sticks. We assume Victorians were always serious, but here's a woman happily goofing off for the camera in the late 1800s. The striking and intricate Amasunzu hairstyle worn by a Rwandan man, photographed back in 1923. To hide severe facial injuries from World War I, this soldier wore a custom-painted mask in 1919. An incredibly moving tribute. Soldiers forming a giant horse head to honor the millions of animals killed in World War I. A hilarious 1949 experiment comparing fathers to the crude, funny drawings done by their kindergarten children. The most heartbreaking diary entry in history. Theodore Roosevelt wrote, "The light has gone out of my life after losing both his wife and mother on Valentine's Day." Peak Venice Beach vibes. Arnold Schwarzenegger hanging out with pinup icon Betty Brosmer in 1974. An intimate and beautiful studio portrait of two women posing together in the early 1900s. The best official portrait ever taken. NASA astronaut Leland Melvin posing happily with his two rescue dogs. Believe it or not, this woman dressed up as a bat creature in 1904, decades before Batman existed. A terrifying invention from the 30s, a German passenger train powered by a giant exposed airplane propeller. Pure shock and curiosity, a man from New Guinea seeing a white explorer for the very first time in 1930. The grueling reality of poverty. Barefoot women washing laundry in a dirty New York courtyard in 1903. Looking like a spaceship, the 1958 Firebird 3 was General Motors' wild vision of the future. The effortless elegance of French actress Mylène de Mongeau, captured in the 1960s. A wholesome moment in 1970. A New York cop sits on the pavement to play Duck Duck Goose with local kids. Look closely at this four-year contrast. The immense stress of the Civil War aged Abraham Lincoln by decades. Before the internet, this woman made a living as a walking library, renting out books on the streets in 1908. Movie magic revealed. A behind-the-scenes look at the massive animatronic hand used in the original 1933 King Kong. Modesty was mandatory. Women wearing heavy, full-body dresses just to sit on the beach in the 1890s. A rare display of humility. The literal King of Norway paying for his own tram ticket like a regular citizen in 73. A heartbreaking image from 87. A brave young boy stands with police after calling them to protect his mother. Cold War anger. An American gas station owner flat out refuses to fuel a Soviet-made car in 1980. To stop them from swallowing diamonds, mine workers were forced to undergo dangerous X-rays every single day in 1954. Professional pushers. Subway workers in 1966 Japan, forcefully packing commuters into overflowing train cars. Deception on the battlefield. French troops showing off a fake cow used as a sniper hideout during World War I. Young actress Sue Lyon drinking a milkshake right after the highly controversial premiere of Lolita in '62. The harsh, freezing reality of indigenous life. A family posing outside their tent in Norway, circa 1900. The raw panic of the civil rights era. Two terrified young girls running from police during the 1964 race riots.